one button done up.
I'm very relaxed, as you can tell. I've been stretching.
Good roll, mate.
Hey guys, so we got Gary Jubelin on the podcast. So Gary, you're a detective for how many years? 34 years?
34 years I was in the New South Wales cops, and probably 25 of those years was as a major crime homicide detective. So, yeah.
It says that you're one of Australia's most recognised detectives up until the infamous William Tyrrell case.
Yeah. Well, it's funny how life plays out, but my career was going along well. I was a detective chief inspector at homicide, and I ran the William Tyrrell matter for 4 years. I took it over 6 months after William disappeared, and then I suppose way of describing it is the shit hit the fan. There was allegations against me for recording conversations with a person I was speaking to about the William Tyrrell matter. I'm not making any apologies for it. The courts have ruled against me and said I shouldn't have done it. I believe I had a right to do it, and that was to protect my lawful interests. So one thing led to another, and I ended up leaving the cops in rather controversial and dramatic circumstances. I might say I didn't get sacked. I decided to resign when an organisation sort of turned, and I thought, okay, well, I can see the writing on the wall, and it was time to get out, and I made the decision to leave the cops.
Because that's sort of what's happening. There's some similarities because you're quoted as saying a couple of times that the job sort of changed over the years. The force has changed, and there's no place for people like you in it now.
I really felt that it got to the point where when they pulled this stunt on me, I thought, well, what are you trying to tell me here? It felt like I was the person that the world had passed by, and one thing I in the cops, I kept myself relevant. I was I think at the sharp end of what I was doing for a very long time, and it wasn't sort of I put the cue in the rack, but I got the sense that the organisation didn't want people like myself in there. There was an informal power base that I had because I was such an experienced homicide detective, and I think that might have ruffled a few feathers. In hindsight, whether I did anything different, I think it's a smart play in any organisation to keep some people on side above you. But I like the fact that I wasn't beholden to anyone in the cops, and I just did my thing, and I did what I considered to be the right thing, but it came back to bite me.
Because that's happening, that whole thing of, I dare say there's not one Australian that would have said you shouldn't have done what you did, or you see like mum and dad, average everyday Australians are like, they would have thought it was just as much a travesty as everybody else. And we constantly get this, you get society's Today morning show version of it, and then you get the actually behind the scenes, what people actually think in their houses. And I don't think anyone would have argued about what you did, mate.
Yeah, look, it was a strange experience. I walked into court, and as a cop for as long as I was, I took people to court. I didn't get taken to court myself, but walking into the steps of Downing Centre Court in Sydney with the media out the front and a group of people cheering me as I'm walking in. So that was sort of a strange, I didn't really know what to do. Was I meant to give them a wave or whatever? I've been a bad person. I'd been before the courts. And I'm not sort of making light of it, but I still maintain that what I did in recording those conversations was to protect my lawful interests. I make no apology for going hard on investigations. We're talking the abduction of a 3-year-old child, and I will go hard, but I still, and it's probably been to my detriment, because I didn't show contrition, I still maintain what I did was the right thing to do in the set of circumstances. Would I do it again? I'm a bit slow on the uptake, but I learned by mistakes. If I knew I was going to lose my career on it, I'd probably I'd have a think about it. But with circumstances the way they presented themselves at the time, I made an operational decision, and I stand by that decision. So,
do you think Like, do you think there is a cultural problem in the cops? I know from the outside, the way the world's kind of changing, same with the Defence Force at the moment, the media's making out that there is a cultural problem, but they're looking at the cultural problem being there's the blokes world and it's too archaic and we need to change and go forward. But from the inside, it feels like there's a cultural problem in the opposite direction. It's like hierarchy is trying to please the PC crowd in an environment where you cannot be PC. Like police and military, same crossover.
Yeah.
Do you think there is that kind of cultural drama with the cops now where hierarchies focus too much on their own celebrity and proving to politicians in the world that they're super politically correct to the detriment of the actual job itself?
I hear what you're saying, Adrian, and there's the way things are in the cops at the moment, we're very risk adverse, and I can say this, and one thing I can comment on is how you lock up the bad guys in major crime, because I've been doing it a long time and I've earned the right to talk on that. You've got to take risks, and risks aren't necessarily, well, they're not breaking the law, but it's pushing the envelope and taking risks to get breakthroughs on the tough cases. I do a lot of cases that we call the smoking gun type murders, and it's very simple. You just follow the elephant through the snow to find the offender. But on the more difficult cases, you've got to think outside the square, draw on your experience. Now, I think in an organisation like the police, and I suggest that to the army as well, or with the military, that sometimes it ruffles people's feathers, and they want to. I've said this with the police, and it probably gets me into more trouble, or doesn't make me popular. But the role of a police officer is very simple. You're a public servant, and as the name would imply, you're there to serve the public. Now, that was my focus during my career. I think there's people in positions of power within the police that see it as a way of furthering their own careers, and I never thought that's what it was about. I got to the stage in my career when I would meet the victims of murdered people, the families, and I would say to them that I will do everything humanly possible to find out what's happened to your loved one, and that my loyalty would lie to you, not necessarily the police. So if the police have stuffed something up, I'll put my hand up and say, look, we could have done it better, could have done it differently. I don't like this sort of let's close ranks and there's no exposure there. I think the pressure and the scrutiny is sometimes deserved. But we've also got to accept that when I walk into an interview room to speak to someone about a murder, they don't just put their hands up. And I'm not talking about doing anything wrong, but it's an intense environment. It's we're in there to find out why this person was murdered. So it's a tough world, and you learn from experience, but you don't have to. You can still maintain your moral compass. You don't have to lose direction. You don't have to break rules. You do what's got to be done, but you know the parameters you work in, and you work in that, and you work hard. Some people don't like taking those risks. I would have had a stellar career if I just stayed there and didn't take a risk and make sure my car diary was up to date and I'd done my CMS and all the management stuff. But that's not the way I operated.
Yeah, I mean, so that's the way to get promoted really quickly and have a polished uniform, but you don't actually get shit done. Which, I mean, I think that's where people go into a position like cops or like military. And it's like there's two distinct different personality types. There's one that wants to get elevated in their position as quickly as possible, and there's one that wants to achieve outcome and purpose through their job as much as possible. And oftentimes those two people butt heads.
So
well, look, I think there's similarities in what you're talking there from the military organisations and the cops, in that the type of people that I look for on the strike force when I had to put a team together, I didn't look for clones of myself. I looked for all types of personality types and skill set, and I think that's important. But I also looked for people that were focused on what we're doing, and the majority of my career was spent in homicide. So I wanted people that had the eye on the ball to catch the killer, not people that were looking, this will look good on my resume, that type of thing. And I think we lose a little bit in an organisation when those people come into play. I have no problem whatsoever with different skill sets. Like there's people that are more management orientated than I would be. I was operational. I like to be out on the streets. I like to be at the sharp end. the policing. Other people were more inclined to management. That's fine. But I think where the crossover is where the management style think that they know better than the operational operatives, and that's where the clashes occur. So
there must have been that. I mean, that's exactly the similarities are uncanny with the military, and I've just separated from it, so it's definitely a completely different. It's the same experience, but because how do you deal with, you were a detective for so long, making these promises to people, and so I mean, I guess it's pretty close to when it sort of happened, an incident.
Yeah.
Is there emotional burnout? Is there where you just stop caring, but you still like a zombie moving forward, or does it take its toll, or you?
Yeah. I definitely changed person the way I am now than what I was when I joined the cops. Obviously, you evolve and change. It does take a bit out of you in homicide investigation. Like I don't think there's a murder investigation that you'd do some where you'd do an on-call job and you'd be involved for 48 hours and that you'd turn up at the crime scene. It was fairly obvious who was responsible. But the long-term ones where you get to know the families, you've got to give a lot of yourself. And I said to people that were aspiring to be homicide detectives, and I still say it now, if you want to be a homicide detective, you've got to be prepared to bleed for the job, because it's a very serious responsibility you're taking to track down a killer. So the families, what I did find with the families that I dealt with over the years, and some have become very very close friends, is that I was drawing on energy from them. Sometimes and I worked on some very long investigations. Sometimes when I was at that burnout point, I'd speak to the victims, catch up with the victims, or just see how important it was, the work that I was doing, and say little things like that. When I got into trouble with the cops, the people that reached out the most to me were the victims, and that meant more to me than anything that the police could have done or didn't do for me. So. But there were times where I thought, Jesus, I don't want to do this anymore, and just the darkness of the world, especially when you're talking to crooks a lot and you're spending a lot of time with crooks. And there was a couple of times on big investigations where I just didn't want to get out of bed because I just didn't want to face that evil again, and you feel dirty and drained after you come away from it. But I was lucky. I sort of had I was fairly resilient, and I had a pretty good bounce back when I was down.
What were because I mean, we're all about trying to find those high performing people in high stress jobs. That did you know these things were happening? Did you have a fair amount of emotional intelligence, or you sort of develop that over the years and going like, oh, I'm not tracking, I need to find some coping, some stuff that will improve my performance?
People close to me probably say I got no emotional intelligence, but we'll debate that. I'd like to think I got a little bit, and I do learn. I'm improving as we go along. The way that we or I dealt with it and balance it out, and a long time ago I got involved. I've always been fit. Well, when I got into the police, I was when you're a young fella, you're naturally fit. But when I got into the cops, I got into my training and had a training regime that I keep doing every day, and it's very rare that I don't train. Also got into some meditation, and that was through martial arts, and that was about 25 years ago or even longer. And people thought, what's this weird hippie dipshit stuff that you're doing? You're meditating or standing on your head or whatever. And I used to get paid out quite a bit about it, and all in good nature. But the way mates
25, I think 25 years ago. Funny. That's the pre uptake as well, isn't it? That's pre mainstream yoga latte sipping. Yeah.
I was this weird dude in the yoga class or the meditation class going, what's this bloke doing? And I don't know where. And then when I mentioned that I was a cop, they couldn't even comprehend what the hell I was doing in that space.
Everyone's panicking and dumping doobies.
I got into it, and I know you're going to lock us up, but I found that was a good balance for the intensity of the cops, and something drove me towards that. And what I actually, and I know the type of things you guys are into in the balance and that. when I was doing some martial arts, there was a sifu I was training under, and I couldn't believe what he could do physically. I'm thinking, where is this stuff coming from? Like, how do you do that? And then from the hard training, I was very fit when I've started the martial arts, and it kept me fit, but I was getting sick all the time. I'd walk past someone with a cold, and my immune system was run down, so it wasn't sort of balanced. I was doing all the hard training, and this sifu said, maybe you got to do some more soft training, stretching and meditation and that type of thing. And I thought, you seem to know your stuff, so I'll give it a go. And from that, I got that balance. So my training has always been hard and soft. I try to balance it out. I don't get it right all the time, because sometimes if I got the shits, I'll go for a run or go boxing or whatever, when the best thing for me to sit down would have been just to still the mind and do a bit of meditation. But what I have found, and in a long answer to getting back to your question, the way I've balanced it out by having that skill set when I am spinning out of control in the cops. Like, I come from a murder scene, and you walk into a family Christmas party, and it's pretty hard to sit there and, you've just seen something gruesome, or you've locked up a bad guy. It's pretty hard to just switch straight into the family mode. And I'm sitting there and I'm feeling really distant. But if this comes under the heading of emotional intelligence, because of the meditation and all that, I could identify that I wasn't operating at the same pace as what you should in society. I was operating a bit quicker, and it sort of played out in, you lose patience. When I know, like, sometimes we'd get called out on the job and you'd be out for 24 hours or longer, and you're making decision after decision, especially as I got more and more experience and senior. You're making decisions on the fly. And you'd get home, or you'd be somewhere, and you'd say, where do you want to go for dinner? And someone would sort of and you go, come on, where would you want to go for dinner? You sort of jump in really quickly. And then you realise, okay, that's my shit, not your shit. But that's the intensity. So the balance of the training I got sort of allowed me to see that, if that makes sense. Makes sense to me anyway.
100%, especially the dinner comment, mate, especially when you've been banging decisions all day in high stress, and you're like, what do you want for dinner? Like, I don't give a fuck. And they're like, no, what do you want?
Yeah. You get that, and you realise you're out of step with people. And something that I would check myself with, if I walk down the street in the city and 3 people have annoyed me in the 100 metres for doing nothing, I'm thinking, it's probably my shit, not their shit. And so on that. So that's where I would come home and just do a bit of meditation or whatever. And the other thing I like to do is start the day doing a physical workout, because that's my time. And in the cops, you never know where your day is going to take you, or when you're going to come home, or when you're going to get a chance to train. So if I got my training out of the way, I really didn't give a shit what happened for the rest of the day, because I'd had my time, and I could deal with stuff that came up.
Yeah, because the world can't mess with you at 5 a.m. when you're at the gym, and they can't mess with you if they're not awake, eh? So
yeah, it's a good time.
Because you've actually you're pretty into the meditation stuff. You've got a tattoo, meditation or tattoo on your bicep, haven't you?
Yeah, and that was about. I got some other stuff, and it's that yin yang way of approaching life. And I like the hard, I like the soft, and that's I'm not religious as such, but that's how I try to live my life and keep it in balance. So I got that on one side, and then some other stuff on the other side that's sort of saying, well, I'm not going anywhere. I think what we're saying is I'd rather die on my feet than live on my knees, and I think that is the way I try to live my life, and that reminds me to don't buckle under the pressure, and I don't mind taking my knocks. It's all part of life, but the Om symbol is just balance it out, because you do need the soft side, and you've got to remember you can't be hard all the time. So that's sort of my little philosophy.
Hey, is that your quote? I'd rather die on my feet than live on my knees, because that one is going to be stolen for a T-shirt next week. Is that yours?
No, I've read it somewhere. It's also because I had a look at the source of where it came from, but I think it's a classic. comment, and I know it was in one of the Midnight Oil songs. It was a protest song, and rather die on my feet than live on my knees, or live on your knees. And I just think that's so cool. Like,
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, that's how I would prefer to, if someone had to describe me, I'd like them to describe me that way, because, I do get myself beat up because I don't back down sometimes. And,
and this goes into, so your portrayal on Underbelly are you happy with how they characterised you?
Yeah. And look, I with the Underbelly stuff, that was an interesting experience in itself. When they approached me and said they want to do a TV series about the investigation you're running, and I thought, well, that's pretty cool. And I think most people would, if there was a lot of people saying, oh, I wouldn't like that, and I call bullshit on that. Like, make a TV series about something you're doing at work. It was a bit of fun. It was confronting watching your private life play out on national TV. But the bloke that, your relationships and all the stuff that goes with that. But the bloke that played me, Matt Navel, they introduced us to see if I was comfortable with him playing me, and he just got it. Like, we're good mates now, and we catch up a fair bit. But he understood where I was coming from and what I was about. So the portrayal on Underbelly, and you see that I lose my shit sometimes, and it's fairly intense. I make no secret when the job's on, I'll be barking out things, and it's not about niceties. Sometimes I say the job's on, I haven't got time to say hello, so let's get into it, and blah, blah, blah. But I like to think how it played out too. There was that soft side, and that's that yin-yang thing. So a lot of people join the cops because they don't like bullies. I think that's part of who I am. That I don't like bullies either. And people might say, "But look how aggressive you are when you're on a job." But that's not bullying. That's getting a job
Yeah, that's
done.
authoritative.
And, I'd like to think I've got. Yeah. You got to be switched on. When the job's on, the job's on. I got empathy, and I'll look after people and that. But sometimes, this is what we're getting paid to do, and it's crunch time. So you're struck around calling yourself a homicide detective all year. Well, tonight you're about to earn your stripes as a homicide detective, and it's not going to be pretty. So,
mate, it's identical to the army. You get guys who struggle with the leadership piece, and they're like, no, when you get close to particular subordinates as well, or peers, and you're like, no, that you have to delineate that there is, when the job is on, we're literally, and then straight after we're beers and fine, and everything's happy.
Yeah. I get what you're saying there, because I hear so many stories about things I supposedly did and didn't do, and these are by people that have never even met me, and it's quite frustrating. Oh, we hear you did this, or you went off at this person, but the actual people that work close to me and know me know I'm a big pussy, and I'll. I come across as a tough guy at work, but the ones that know me well know that they can wrap me around their little finger and, oh, no, it's all right. You take the day off if you need the day off, and you're sure, that type of thing. So, but that's, I think that works. And I had some pretty good mentors in the cops, and I think you would get that in the army, and I consider myself lucky to have what I considered good mentors, and they taught me about you earn your respect. It's not just the rank. I never actually I didn't like ever having to pull rank, and I very rarely pulled rank. It's not something I like to do. But there was people that I looked up to in the cops, and I might see them now, and they're old men and they're walking around, but I'll still call them boss, and that's sort of a respect that I gave to them, that they didn't have to use their rank or their position to get me to do my stuff. I wanted to do stuff because it was the right thing to do, and I wanted to impress them. And that's the way I would like to I would like people to think that I approach my work. So, yeah.
I mean, that goes back to what we were saying before about the two separate personalities of people that join the cops and join the military. Like, one that aspires to quick escalation up the rank structure, they generally will try and demand respect based on the pictures on their uniform, whereas the other one will earn respect based on actions and have that kind of foundation of love and respect from the people around them. And again, that's two completely different people. But we all know, I think we can all agree that the ones that we look to for mentorship, or the ones that we try and surround ourselves with, are that second type of people that earn respect. They never have to pull rank on people because it's just not needed.
I agree with that 100%. That I see the good bosses I know are not the ones that pull rank. They walk in, they command authority because of the people that they are. You can take the stripes, you can take the rank away from them, and they'd still rise. They'd be a leader in that group. The other thing, the ones that will do, and I don't like to shitbag all the ones that I respect people that, okay, management, or that's my stream, and they follow that path. I can respect them, and I've worked with some that have been great, and that's been their field. They don't pretend to be operational police officers, but they manage their unit or command very well. So I have no problems with that. What I do have a problem with is the ones that overcompensate for their incompetence by making decisions and going hard at people just on the little things because they're too scared to deal with the big things. And you'll never see them at crunch time in the interview room. Are we going to charge this bloke or not charge this bloke, or what are we going to do here with the crime scene? You'll never see them there. But then they'll come in after it's safe, and then they'll come in and criticise some uniformed police for not having their caps on or something like that. They're the ones that annoy me. I'm all for discipline. There needs to be structure and discipline, but it's the ones that overcompensate. So make these big decisions about little things just to show that they've got power, and I go, oh, that's great. It's interesting. So why the cops and the military are the same? I think because we know when the game's on, it's crunch time, and it's important that decisions are made, and made proper sound decisions.
I think you did. I'm not sure whether it was 34 years in the cops or 34 years in the army, because it's
the same thing, mate.
Same thing, mate.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, I get the sense of it, and I know, like with the military, or I speak to other police forces or whatever, and I think it's that same thing. Is it the type that is attracted to the army or the first responders in the first place? I don't know, but it just seems to be that way. And I say the sad thing is that I think one of you mentioned that the organisations are changing, and that I still hope they can value operational operatives, whether it's military or police. They need to value those people, because they're the people that actually make the organisations look good. And without those people, it's just shit ain't going to happen. And I've been in some big operations, and I've just played small parts in those operations. But the success of those operations is not because of the boss. Sometimes it is. Sometimes it is. But it could be just one person, on feet on the ground, that's making the right decisions at the right time. I remember during the Sydney Olympics, I was doing close personal protection, because I did a lot of tactical policing as well when I was in the cops. And during the Olympics, my role was close personal protection. It was chaos there during that, looking after all the heads of state. But the thing that kept it ticking along wasn't the whole the way it was run from the above. It was people making decisions on the ground when they're looking after presidents or prime ministers or whatever, making decisions on the fly, and that kept it going. And that's how organisations survive, by people making decisions at all levels at the right time.
It's trusting the strategic constable, digger, detective, and whether they've got split seconds to make decisions. And then we can armchair crucify them afterwards. I mean, there's some stuff going.
I think that's a problem.
Well, I know what you're talking about now, and it's a sad situation all round with what's come out, and I hope there's some sound minds and fair minds looking at what's gone on, because I'm certainly not in a position to judge anyone on anything that in environments that I'm not familiar with. So it's a difficult time for all, and I likened it to, and I was having a conversation with someone today on it, and and I don't want to get into controversial areas, but where all the medals were going to be taken from a unit, regardless of direct involvement or not. I know when the Police Royal Commission went through, because I was a major crime detective in the 90s when the Royal Commission went through New South Wales Police, and a lot of shit came out and a lot of bad stuff. But the initial reaction, or one of the suggested reactions, was that all detectives should be put back in the uniform, and I pushed back on that, like a lot of people pushed back on it. But that was the initial reaction. Like if one or two or a group have done wrong, the whole reputation of all detectives across the state. I don't think that's a fair way of dealing with things. It's not, it's not a just way of dealing with things. So, yeah, it's a difficult situation, and my thoughts go out to everyone in situations like that. It's a terrible time for everyone.
Yeah, I think. I mean, it does. It makes me nervous that we are starting to judge cops and soldiers, especially in the roles that should predominantly be kept behind closed doors. Like that, you have to do things in life in those positions that should not always be 100% visible to public. And I know that in itself is kind of controversial, but we've moved from an era of getting things done to an era where we are judged by social media and what goes on TV. And we push, like just recently, we're pushing all this information out through the media so that the public can make a decision based off opinion pieces. And realistically, the public's foundation of their understanding of these topics comes from movies or comes from TV shows. So it's essentially like saying, hey, watch one episode of Underbelly, then judge the New South Wales cops on everything they do. Like it's just not possible. And that's the bit that makes me the most nervous. Like we've had a lot of conversations, a couple of conversations in the past when we have caught up about the tribe and the purpose and the identity piece, talking about how if you join something, i.e. you join the cops, you join the military, that becomes your identity and your purpose. And most, I don't want to speak for everyone, but most of our demographic that joined that kind of role hated bullies. They hated big, arrogant people picking on little guys. And so you join the military to fight against what potentially is that in society or that in other countries. At the core of it, you want to help and you want to self-sacrifice and put other people first. But in reality, the truth is, to fight wolves, you kind of need to train wolves, sheepdogs. You don't send sheep to fight wolves. Yeah. So in order to kill that evil or combat that kind of evil that we know is out there that the public don't, because we only watch movies or TV, you have to flirt with the line of becoming as big, as bad, and as scary as the bad thing that you're up against. And it makes so we're full circle on this rant that I'm going on. What makes me nervous going forward is when we have people like yourself and you are saying things like there's no place for people like me in the modern police force. And there's definitely a bunch of SF guys out there at the moment going, there is no place for people like me in this modern day army. That scares the shit out of me because there's no one in the Middle East and there's no murderers on the streets of Sydney turning around going, oh, the world's gone PC, I better go PC too. Like they're not changing the evil tactics yet. The sheepdogs are being forced to change their persona and tactics, which is dangerous.
I get what you're saying, Adrian, because I felt like I had worked through a career where something that used to be celebrated and revered, the battle-hardened detective, been there, done that, seen everything, that type of thing. That's who I was, and I still had energy, doing my work. It wasn't that a tap on the shoulder, hey, you need to retire because you put the cue in the rack. I was out working. I was still as excited as I was the day I joined the cops. But I feel like at what I aspired to, now they're saying, oh, we don't want that type in the police. For the army, for the cops, I speak to a lot of people about, would I join the cops again? Yeah, I love it, but by God, it's a hard job now. In that, when I made a mistake as a young fella, the sergeant would kick me up the arse and say, this is when I was in the cops, not the civilians. They still kick me up the arse when I was in the civilians. But when I was in the cops, you make a mistake and you get pulled aside and say, hey, that's not on, this is not how we do it. You make a mistake in this day and age and you'll be on social media and you'll be, and the cops will just throw you out under the bus and go, it shouldn't happen. And, we don't condone that. it's a tough gig at the moment. And you guys go into war zones and you've got cameras on you. It adds to the pressure. I know when I was doing tactical policing, when they first started bringing in, when you're going to arrest an armed offender, there's enough pressure on you to start with, going in with loaded firearms and making split-second decisions. And when they started filming it, I don't know, I felt more pressure. Like it was just the more pressure I felt that, okay, well, if I make a mistake here, boy, it's going to be a big one and it's going to be out there. So, yeah, that was in the early stages when they started to film us doing tactical stuff. Now it's a given that anything you do is going to be caught on camera. And it just adds to the pressure, I think.
100%. And I mean, maybe one day we'll train people to be able to deal with fighting 3 fights in 3 directions in one instance. But I don't know, like getting the number one priority should be preserve life, i.e. your own as a cop. You're up against someone in a gunfight or they've got a knife or whatever. Yeah. Your sole focus should be on disarming that person. If you're then thinking, all right, half my brain's on this dude coming at me with a knife, the other half is on the kid across the street filming it, I've got to take this dude down without hurting his feelings and making sure social media is also happy. That's an impossible task.
Well, what I feel sorry for the police in this day and age, the young police, and this is, it's not a criticism of them, I'm saying I feel sorry for them. When I joined the cops, we had a gun and we had a baton. I think it was 22 inches and it was a steel baton. So when you had a tactical decision to make, it wasn't that hard. You start off, you got your fists. If it's going to, 99% of the time in policing, you can de-escalate it. But there's 1% of time when it's going to get physical. You got your fists to start with, you got your baton, you got your gun. Now they got their OS spray, they got their taser, they got their extendable baton that you've got to pull out and then flick out, and there is so much going on for them. I feel sorry for them. And really, I don't know, like I know through martial arts and that, repetition, to learn a skill, to learn a skill to handling a firearm. And the amount of training they get, it's just not, I don't think it's sufficient for the type of decisions they're going to make under extreme pressure. And part of my role as a homicide inspector was to oversee where there was critical incidents, and the critical incidents when police officers have killed a person, and you're going to go in there and investigate it and then present it to the coroner whether it was everything was done according to plan. I felt so sorry for the police in those situations. They've been in a major conflict where someone's life has been taken, and then they've got to justify their actions, and those actions are justified in front of high-paid barristers that's had the brief of evidence for 12 months and then going to dissect the decisions they've made on the fly. It's just a tough gig. We need to scrutinise it. No problems there, but I'm just saying that it's a tough position for police to be in. And I would imagine in war zones, those type of decisions are made more and more frequently. And you're going to be judged on them. It's difficult.
They're gonna mess it up, man. The neural pathways and training, we train that in combat shooting with your pistol is in the same spot, your knife's just behind it, so you can pick. You've always got the lethal option. If they're training like, oh, hang on, this situation, nope, tasers on my chest. I don't know how you train that to be instinctive to save your life if someone's got a knife within 7 meters. Like, and
mate, it's a World of Warcraft generation.
I agree. It's which tactic do you use? Which option do you use? It makes it difficult, and I hope, and I know there's an expense associated with it, but more and more training that's needed. And we also talked emotional intelligence too, and I know in policing that quite often you can diffuse situations. I think that's something that should be taught, and I think this is where the military and the police are probably a different environment, but there's times where in policing where you've got to diffuse situations, and I've seen some people that are just brilliant, the gift of the gab. An angry man could be coming at them and they will just diffuse the situation with a bit of humour, a bit of humility, whatever it takes. They can diffuse the situation. And I often I saw some good, the old cranky old sergeants in the. Well, I hope you don't, guys. You haven't been charged. I have, but if you did, when you're getting charged, there's the cranky old sergeant in uniform that's been in the charge room 20 years out of his 30-year career, and he's probably going to die in the charge room. But I saw some of them that you could get the most angry person dragged in there, and he was going to take on the world. First things first, he was just going to beat up every police officer he saw and carry on. And you see these old skilled sergeants that just can talk them down. And I take my hat off to them. It's a skill, and it's a skill that should be practiced. I don't know if you can learn it. I think sometimes it's just a natural skill set. But they save so many problems in policing, just have that the gift of the gab and being able to de-escalate.
Yeah, I think it's a skill set that can be learned. I don't know if anyone's got a training model out there for it, but you learn it out of survival if you're unarmed. And I think that was a good argument. I filled in one of the boys at this reserve unit in Newcastle, ran the council ranges for one of the councils up near Newcastle. And I filled in for a couple of months a few years ago. And they go and one of their main jobs is taking people's dogs off them who have been eating people. So you're going into generally lower socioeconomic areas, telling people you're about to take their dog. You're unarmed, obviously. You're a council ranger. You've got nothing on you. The most valuable asset I could ever have was a female offsider. That's because I learned everything from this chick. I would have gone into that job thinking, if I'm going to go and take a dog from a dude who's probably done time back in the day and I've got to steal his pit bull off him, I want another big dude with me.
Yeah.
But that increases the threat to him,
gets
his back up. You get a small chick in there and she just talks him down straight away because there is no other option. It's a survival training technique. I don't have weapons. I can't escalate force. This guy will beat me in a physical altercation. I've got to talk it down. I talk him down. And I learned heaps from having chicks next to me on jobs like that. And I think that is something we've got to learn.
I 100% agree with that. And you've got to give people an out with dignity. We all want to maintain our dignity. And I use the example, someone in the pub that you've been sent into, someone's been kicked out of the pub and refused to leave. So you can walk in there, and you can walk in there with a couple of attitudes. You could walk in there and go, well, if you're not going to leave, the cops are here now and I'm going to drag you out and watch you get dragged out. Or you can walk in there and this tough guy's standing there in front of his mates and said, come on, copper, I'll have you. And you go, yeah, look, mate, you probably would beat me, but I've got to do my job. And even if you beat me, you're still going to get charged or whatever. You can de-escalate it. He can look round to his mates, all proud, look, I gave it to that copper, and walk out with his head held high. That's a way of diffusing the situation. And just simple little things like that. It comes with experience. If you go in there as a tough guy first up, and you'll get the shit beat out of you, and you wake up to yourself. But little things like that are important. So
it's all ego. It's all ego. Every male's got a massive ego, and if a cop's going in there with trying to protect their own ego up against someone who's causing trouble, it's going to protect their ego. You're going to go to guns. But
look. When the shit hit the fan with me, when these allegations came at me, of fight or flight, I thought, fuck that, I'm going to fight. That's my natural instinct. And the smarter people than me said, look, just wait, just dignity, hold back a little bit, don't lash out at people and all that. I'm so thankful I got that advice because I think it's held me in good stead. I've stood up for myself at the right times, but I haven't just sort of lost it. And that's that thing, if you can take the ego away. And I think that's, we talk about the experiences with martial arts and boxing that I've done. The one thing that does is take my ego away. Like I can get into a ring and the skinny little dude will just beat the crap out of me. And so, that type of thing, you realise that's ego is something that you can put on the back burner, and it does save conflict.
I think I learned that early when I was a young kid, young Thundercat, thought I was 10 foot tall and bulletproof, and I'd go to town and I would be a menace, mate. And then I got in and started doing a bit of MMA with some of the boys at work. And as soon as I started, I think it was a discipline, and it was probably the reality check that you could probably get, because I remember this dude, he was a little 5 foot nothing, 50 kilo Luke Hume. He's in the army now, and he was a Jedi, and he could kick your head off your shot. And I was like, whoa, maybe I don't know everything. And even when you do get a bit more confident in your own abilities, you then can learn to go different. You can go like, I don't need to beat my chest here. We can do things differently.
Oh, 100%. And I like that. And yeah, they had and they've still got them, the police gyms. And you send the kid that's got the anger management issues down and teach them boxing. And you hear so many stories of that. But I reckon you're quite right. Like, it's the fact that I've learned how to fight has stopped me fighting, because I don't feel like I need to prove myself at fighting. And I think that's something that gives you the confidence that you can de-escalate. And we talk about how cope with pressure at work and that. Sometimes I'd just take time off, or not take time off, but I was sick of making decisions. So I'd go into the gym and my trainer, the sifu or whatever, might say, "Well, what do you want to do?" And I said, "You tell me what to do. I'll do it," and just sort of switch off that way. And I lived over in Perth for a while. I took 12 months off from the cops, and that was a good experience. It sort of just taught me that there is life outside the cops. And I got tied up with some professional boxers over there, so I would train with them, but also a kung fu school over there. And it was a very traditional kung fu, and a lot of young Asian kids. And I would go to the class. I'd get beat up by the boxers to start with, and then come back battered and bruised. And then I'd go to kung fu school, and just come home black and blue. But it certainly balanced me out and gave me some purpose and direction, and it just sort of chilled me.
So coming out of the cops after 34 years, and you're thinking, I'm going to do this for the rest of my life. Before what was the transition like for you? Because you are regimented in. What was the transition? What were some of the tools that you use? I mean, you sound like you already had quite an extensive toolbox, but
yeah, I'm lucky I had that toolbox, because there was some dark periods. Like I was literally at the top of my game, running the state, if not the country's highest profile investigation. 3 days before I was removed from my duties, I was flown up to Tamworth to investigate the shooting of 2 police officers that got shot on the weekend. I came back from Tamworth, then went up to Newcastle. There was a murder up there, and I oversaw the murder investigation up there at Newcastle. That's how I spent the weekend and the Monday. So that's living life as a police officer. Then on the Tuesday at work, I get these papers served on me and get my gun taken off me. Not allowed to go back into my office, not allowed to go to my desk, not allowed to drive a police car, not allowed to talk to any of the victims, and not to talk to any police. So you don't get more of a ripped from your environment than that. I was told, you'll probably go, you're going off sick. And I said, no, I haven't had a sick day in 34 years. I'm not going off sick now. I'll put my suit on. I'm going to turn up, and then you work out what's done. And that's what I said to the senior police that did this to me. They put me in a room for 3 months, and it was a room that it was like a caged lion, because it was there was no windows. There was a glass door, and it was in a hallway walking to the boss's office. So I was there to be humiliated, and I sat there, and I thought, well, I'm not going to be humiliated. I wasn't allowed to work on anything. I just had to sit there. So I played whale music and meditation music, and thought, well, you think you're going to break me? I'm not going to break. And I think that annoyed the people that were trying to break me. So I sat there, and then when I'd been over to my last day of the police, I'd actually been over to Portugal, because my son was serving in Afghanistan, and you guys know my son, Jake, and he had his 2-week break, and he was going over to Portugal. So we went over there for a 2-week surfing trip. And when we were over there, I just had a sense. I was whinging about my circumstances, and Jake pointed out, well, he's in a war zone. I said, okay, you've trumped me. So that was no debate there. But I said, but I'm doing it pretty tough back in Sydney. And when I got back, within 3 hours of landing in Sydney, I was told that they're going to charge me after being told I wouldn't be charged. And then that was the last day that I was a police officer. So it was just sort of ripped away from me. And I lost my identity to a degree. I was a policeman. That was, everyone identified with me as a policeman. That's how I lived my life. I was lived and breathed my work. So I had to work out how to deal with it. So when I say there was dark times, and the first couple of days I just sat there and I was numb. Like I was really numb, and I thought, how the fuck am I going to dig myself out of this? And I thought, okay, you've got to train. And so I started doing a bit of training. And then it sort of go from cycles. I'd have my highs, I'd have my lows. And I thought, well, I've got to fight this. So I put my energy into fighting this. But then it was a sense of isolation too, because I wasn't allowed to speak to anyone. So the world that I operated in, where I'd meet with and speak to probably 30 or 40 people a day on a regular basis. So I didn't have that. So I had to keep purpose in my life. And what I did was I trained. I thought, this is going to be a battle. I need to be fit. So I trained and got up and trained in the morning, and sometimes I'd do 2 sessions. And that was just my way of dealing with it. I thought, well, if I'm going to fight, I'm going to be fit when I fight. And then looked at defending the allegations against me. And then I got work in the media, which is that sort of gave me an option outside the cops. So I was approached by that. So that was something that I was interested in, and started channeling my energy there, because I'm always one for paying your dues. And I've sort of been thrown in given a chance to work in the media. So I sort of threw my energy into that. It was around that time I met you, Adrian, and that was a sort of first article I'd written outside of my area of expertise and knowledge about policing and criminal investigation. But meeting Adrian, and I still remember when we sat down and had that coffee, because Jake had told me the type of stuff you guys were doing with Swiss 8, and it just resonated with me, like the lost tribe. I've lost my tribe, and I could understand it. And then those, what I call simple practices, and sometimes the simple things are the most complicated, but just keeping structure to your life. So that's probably the way I tried to deal with it, Mex, is keep structure to my life, and see where it took me from there.
I cannot believe that is absolute shock of capture. Like, literally, give me your badge, give me your gun, don't go to the office, don't drive a car, sit at the desk, mate. That is fucking...
Sit in a room by yourself with no one else around you. That is a documented torture technique.
Well, I didn't break.
Yeah, exactly.
I sat there.
Because when we talk about...
I laugh about it, but guys, it was, and to add to it, there was a public humiliation because they released it to the media. And so I was travelling home one day and I got a call from a journalist and said, blah, blah, blah. And I said, how did you get this? And it's been confirmed. So all those details. So then I had to deal with the public humiliation. And I had my mother crying. I had, people ringing up and that. It was pretty hardcore. But, if anything, I just thought, well, the one thing I can do is just hold my head high, and that they win if they break me. So that sort of drove me along, and I had a lot of good support from people around me. But the thing that hurt me was that people within my tribe, as in the police, the ones that supported me, were ostracised as well, and some of them ended up leaving the positions they were in because they had their crime was that they supported me or spoke up for me, and that wasn't allowed. So when your own organisation turns on you, but I suppose to balance it out, I could walk along the street and there'd be a cop that I don't know that would approach me and say, hey, we're with you on what's going on. We think it's a terrible, and people reaching out. I had some people I'd put inside and some informants, and one in particular that said, hey, brother, if you go back inside, I'm coming. If you go inside, I'm coming back inside to look after you. And so I had some funny moments like that. And I think you might have seen that there was headlines, I'd rather go to jail than pay a fine.
Yeah.
And that was
quoted.
Yeah. And my legal team said, Jesus, you're a hard client to manage. But look, I was serious on that, and to put it into context, it was I was fined $10,000 for these offences, and the offences, nothing was shown that I was doing it to benefit myself or whatever. It was investigating a very serious crime. And my view was that if I'm that bad, you should send me to jail. Don't fine me. And I stuck with that. And I think it probably to my detriment, like no one was going to cut me some slack if that's the attitude, because I'm not showing any contrition. But I still meant it, and I stand by it. And that was my way of maintaining my dignity, and that was my way of fighting back. That here I am, I'm standing here, I'm not ashamed. And so when I went to court each day, I walked in with my head held high. I had Jake supporting me and my daughter Gemma supporting me, and walked in the court. And a lot of victims' families and even some old offenders turned up and supported me as I'm walking into court. So yeah, but it was a tough gig. It's not something that I'd want to go through. And even now, there are some times where there's anger that I think, a job was done on me, and I get angry. But then I think, well, the best form of getting back at the people that have done this to me is just show that I've got on with my life, and so that's what I'm trying to do.
Did you have a Catholic moment when you're standing there? I mean, you wouldn't have to go in cuffs, obviously, but to stand there and be like, fuck, I'm on the other side of...
Yeah, most definitely. But it was a strange experience, because it was almost like a circus, but it was a humiliating circus. And I'd walk in there, and I would think, okay, well, everyone knows what this is about. It's not an offence I'm ashamed of. It's an offence that this is what I did. I told everyone. I participated in interviews. But yeah, sometimes I'm just sitting there. And I was sitting at the bar table. I was allowed to sit at the bar table. I was sitting with my barrister was Margaret Caneen, who's a high-profile barrister. And I've sat with her in court many a time. We've been prosecuting murderers. And at some points in time when the court matter's going on, I'm thinking, but wake up, this is your trial. And so it was it was a bizarre experience. It was humiliating. It was degrading, but the only way I could deal with it is front up to it. And there was no slinking through the back door of the court for me or whatever. I was disappointed that no serving police officer turned up to support me, and that really, I won't say made me angry, because I don't have the expectations, but I know in the past, even if someone's been charged with a horrendous offence, people turn up, but no one's allowed to turn up and support me.
I just thought that was the premise
which
of
I thought
innocent until guilty, right?
Well, I thought that too, but and they had other police turning up to protect witnesses at my court matter. I'm thinking, what, my crew, my 80-year-old mother and my children were going to take out the witnesses? Like, it seemed ridiculous. And I even had the low point. The low point was when my mother got harassed by a police officer at court, and I thought, I haven't even done that with the worst criminals I've put away. I always treat the mothers with respect, or the families with respect. They haven't done anything. They're suffering too. And there was a couple of issues that arose there, and I just thought, Jesus, this is digging low. So when you feel like an organisation's turned on you to that extent, that's when it hurts. But like, it balances out. And as I said, guys, I'm going from here, and once I start talking, I tell everything. I told you I had an appointment. I'm going for a catch-up with people I used to work with, old detectives, and they sort of put it in perspective, and we're going to talk shit, and our stories will be bigger and better and than they actually were. But you're allowed to do that when you're retired and tell the stories. But it's been an experience. Would I want to go through it again? I'd probably prefer to avoid it, but I think it's made me a better person. It certainly made me look a little bit more objective on what it's like to have the power of the state against you. And that sounds unusual, but I've sat on the other side, and now I think I have some more understanding of people that have been put before the courts and how traumatic it is. Because I think I said to Jake as we're walking to court when they were going to hand down the verdict, and we're walking through the tunnel at Museum Station, and it felt like I've been walking to the gallows. And I was saying to him, could you imagine how it would be if you were waiting for a verdict to come back for a murder charge or something serious, where seriously your life is going to end? Like I don't know how people handle that pressure.
I know, because you have, like, literally, when we said the most, for people in our audiences, one of the most celebrated detectives in Australia, you have put away, like, there was the serial killings, the 3 Aboriginal children in 1990s.
Yeah.
You did
and that's
like, you've put away some absolute murderous, evil people, right?
I've worked, and when I say, and it's important when I'm talking about my work, that it's always a team environment. But I've been in teams that have done this. I've been in teams as a junior person. I've been in teams leading the team, and that's what we did. I got paid to catch killers, and I thought it was a pretty cool job, and that's I sort of threw myself into it big time, and I don't think I'd be too popular on the inside in the prisons, but I've always thought I've been fair in the way that I went about my work. I go hard. I make no apologies for that, but it's always within the rules, and it's fair. I've a couple of times over the years I've put crooks away, and they'll reach out after they get outside and talk about things, and it's quite interesting, the relationships. But I'm proud of my career, and I think that's helped me too. And like I wrote a book after that was another thing that was fairly cathartic for me. Writing a book, that was something I did to keep myself busy after I lost my career. But I'm proud of the work I've done, and the fact that I've had so many people support me. It makes me feel, it helps. It helps. It makes you feel like you've been doing the right thing for the right reasons.
100%, mate. You've gone through a scenario that is worse, not to try and overemphasize it, but worse than the majority of people in the world or in Australia, especially in the veteran community. Getting isolated from your team, tribe, losing your identity, losing purpose. You probably could. People could forgive you for spending the rest of your life standing still and resenting and hating and spitting venom at the way people treated you. But it seems, which I think is a massive testament to your character, it seems that you've looked at it going, I will give a shit about the things that I can impact. I'll look inwards. I'll try and fix some of my stuff, and I'll move forward and keep growing. I think if nothing else, like, that is a lesson we want to. I mean, that isolation, identity, and purpose is the building blocks of what we're trying to help the veteran community with. But that message in itself, no matter how shitty your situation is, or no matter how much you could just stand there and blame the brass or blame the government or blame whoever, you haven't done that. You've gone, no, I'm going to take my licks and then find a way for me to move forward. That's a message that we need to be pushing out hard and fast with the younger generation, I think.
Well, it made me take stock of the situation. Like, it really did. Like, this could have destroyed me. And, it was a fine line between whether I let it destroy me or not. I could have lost my shit over this and fuck it and just hate the world. But I looked at it and thought, okay, there's one person that's got the full control here, and that's you. How you deal with this, even to the point where people that betrayed me, were part of this. I could go through life hating them, or maybe I just forget about them and just move on. And I've got to add, it's the people around me that I take advice in situations like this, because my natural instinct, I'm a passionate person. I just get angry and go, fuck this, I'm going for them. And then that's my initial reaction. And then I'm old enough and wise enough to know, take a step back and have a think how to approach it. But I think with you guys, like the veterans, and the things that you can make choices on, and that's why I really enjoyed writing that article about you guys and the work that you were doing, in that it really made sense to me. It really, I understood it the moment you started talking about it. I'm thinking, and especially my situation at the time, so I was hyper alert about all the things you were talking about, and it does make sense dealing with it that way. And you lose loose structure. And I spoke to Jake, and to make sure it's right that I mentioned this. I know when he's been deployed, when he was deployed up in Darwin and then Afghanistan, some of the changes I saw in him, and I think it was his Darwin deployment. When he came back, he had 2 or 3 weeks off before he had to go back to uni or do what he was doing. And I said, mate, that's great. You got 3 weeks. And he was hanging out at my place a bit. And I said, what are you going to do? And he said, I don't know. And I said, but you've been on a boat, you've been this, you've been that. Now you've got all the time in the world to just do what you want, go for a surf or that. He was frustrated with how many choices he had because he'd all become almost institutionalized in that he was, I don't want to make a decision. I didn't have to make a decision. I was told to get up at this time. You rendezvous here, this and that. And I thought that was an interesting time. And I know when we were over in Portugal as well, that this is great. We hadn't had a time like that where 2 of us could catch up in that environment. I was whinging about my shit, but he was, I won't say he let his hair down completely, but he was sort of still, his mind was back where his mates were. And that was part of when you do leave an organisation like that. I see on the TV now, there's a murder or a suspicious death or whatever. And I think, geez, I'd like to be at that spot now. But I've just got to let that go. I think we all have our time and place, and then you just got to look on to other things. The other lesson I've learnt in what's happened to me, and I'm sounding too philosophical now. It's probably not what I really believe, but I'm thankful this happened to me because I'm not thankful. But anyway, it's given me a chance to work in the media. So I'm doing the podcast, which that's been great. Did the book, and I'm writing articles, and I'm doing all sorts of stuff, and it's given me new opportunities, and it's given me a sort of new lease on life. Because I think if I stayed in the cops, I was too stubborn to let cases go. So I just look, I'll stay around till I solve this one or solve that one. The thing that I haven't, I'm speaking fairly lightly on it, but the thing that's hurt me probably more than anything in leaving the cops, and I would imagine when you guys are doing what you consider to be worthwhile work, and if it's taken away from you for whatever reason, I feel like I've let the victims down because there's victims that I promised I would do everything I could, and now I can't help them. There's some of the cases that I've left that haven't been solved. William Tyrrell one in particular. I still speak to William's parents regularly and his foster parents, and we still stay in touch. But those things niggle me. But you are in control of your own destiny, aren't you? So you've got to make a choice. And there's nothing brilliant about me. I'm stubborn, I'm stupid, and all that. But I do learn, and I eventually like to think I come to the right decision. So.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, so transitioning to the media, there's a big thing in defence transitions at the moment saying we've got to get everyone jobs when they get out. And I'm like, I think we're missing the mark here. It's not jobs, it's purpose. Was having that gig in the media, was that your new purpose now going forward, telling stories?
Yeah, most definitely, because if I didn't go into the media, they even shut because of this. I can't get my private investigator's license, so they really did a job on me and shut my all my earning capacity down as well. So I was a tradesman before I joined the police, but I'm too old and too stubborn to go back on the tools now. But with the media, I've always had an interest in the media, and it's something that it's not dissimilar to the police in that you can put your energy into it, and it's unlimited the amount of time and effort you can put into what you're doing. But it felt like something worthwhile to me, and it was challenging to me. And I wanted a challenge. I didn't want to do something that it was too easy for me, because I'd get to the point where I think, oh, well, I'm not going to put the effort in. But with the media, it was a challenge to me. And I was scared. Like, well, I say it was. I still am scared when I'm doing some stuff in the media because it's a new world for me. But it's challenging me, and it's I like to push myself. So it's something that I think I can do some good. And, it's something that I've found interesting.
Because
Mate,
you've got...
Oh, sorry.
Oh, no, go, mate.
I was just going to say, from the perspective of we've had a few different media outlets do interviews for different reasons at different times. Having someone like yourself with lived experience who kind of gets the mentality of the demographic that we're helping and representing, mate, the trust is the biggest issue I see when people come to us and ask to record radio interviews or do stories for papers. I am on edge. It's like what we were talking about before with the young cops with a dude with a knife and then also a social media camera. You're like, if I say one thing wrong here, if I fuck this up, we're sunk. And they're probably going to edit it and butcher it and make me look like a dick. But when I sat down to do that I had the chat with you, I was like, there was full trust. And I'm like, everything I say is going to be depicted with the correct intent, the correct tone, because you understand me as a person and our demographic. I think it's a massive positive for whatever media outlets you're going to be working with, to have someone with lived experience like yourself as the storyteller.
Yeah, well, thanks for that, Adrian, and that means a lot. And one thing that I probably, like, I've been offered doing different things, and I could have sold out and taken the money and all that, but I think my integrity would have been shot. A game show host or whatever. I don't know. There's lots of things I could have done, but it didn't really resonate with me. So the fact that you talk on the life's experience, I'd like to think that's what I can bring in that media world. That and look, I'm the babe in the woods. I see some journalists, and you see what a skill set is, and they can put a story together. For me to put a story together, it takes time, but I'd like to just put that effort in and keep that in integrity. But I do understand what you guys went through, and I say it to you guys here. The fact that the timing of it almost felt, it was right that we met at that time, because a lot of what you said, I thought, I get this. And it put in perspective what had happened to me, and that because I was a little bit disorientated the way it happened, sort of ripped from your organisation. I'm thinking, what the hell was that? Is this just a bad dream? But speaking to you and then having a look at what you guys have been doing, it made me understand a little bit more of what I was feeling. So it went both ways.
God.
Mate, I appreciate everything. And talking about your podcast, you've got a pretty big I Catch Killers, the podcast, and a book by the same title.
Yeah.
Was that?
Yeah.
What was it like your first episode doing that podcast?
Look, this is. I'll tell you. Don't tell anyone. With the News Corp signed me up, and part of it was to do podcasts. And I said, right, and they were looking at the teacher's pet format and those type of podcasts. And I said, look, one thing that I feel comfortable with is telling stories. I've got 1,000 stories, but I know all these other police that have got some stories. So I phoned up my mate Jason Evers, and he was my partner for 10 years in the cops, and he was he's out of the cops now. But I thought, look, let's just try this. And it's quite ironic that I got kicked out of the cops, or not kicked out, I left the cops because I was recording, and now I turn up at studios and record everything. So the irony's not lost there. But part of my thing with recording these telephone on the telephone, everyone sort of laughed because technology is so hopeless. So the first podcast I did with Jason, I phoned him up and he agreed to it, so I recorded it. And then when I was downloading it, I lost the whole thing. And I had told the people I'm reporting to at the Sunday Telegraph, I'll have a demo tape tomorrow morning. And so I locked this in, and it was gold. Jason and I were on fire. We did this hour-and-a-half conversation. Could not be repeated. It could not repeat how good it flowed. And then I'm playing with the computer, and I've gone, fuck, I've lost it. And so I had to ring Jason at 5 a.m. in the morning, and he's woken up. I said, mate, that podcast we did, we've got to do it again. He's gone, I've got to go to work. I said, no, you've got to do this podcast. So we had to do the whole podcast thing again. And I took it in, and they listened to it and they liked it. And I think what they liked about it was the rawness of it. And I'm learning my way with podcasts as you guys are, and it's a different sort of forum. But I think what resonated with the public was it was genuine. And it's not just the cops I've got on. I'm now getting, I've had some bikies and informants and victims and all sorts of people on. And I've enjoyed it, as I'm sure you guys are finding it, the long-form conversation. I interviewed a lot of people that I knew very well, but I was learning stuff from them in the fact that I but I was sitting down having a conversation with them in long form for a couple of hours and actually listening to what they were saying and then having the conversation. So it's something I've enjoyed. And then the I Catch Killers, the book, I got approached to write a book by a lot of people, and it wasn't something I was going to do, and this is even before I left the cops. But in light of the way my reputation was sort of tarnished and all the rumour, speculation and stuff that was going on about me, I thought, well, stuff it, I'm going to tell my story, and this is my story. And it helped putting it in words, and I wrote it with a bloke I knew, Dan Box. He's based over in London, but he was a crime reporter, and I had a lot of respect for him. And I knew he'd call me on my bullshit, like he wouldn't let me fluff over any of the difficult stuff, talking about relationships or whatnot. And when I first finished the book, you're pretty nervous. And the first couple of people that read it, they came back to me and said, geez, it's very raw and honest. And I've gone, shit, what have I put in there?
Wow.
And so that, I suppose that's good, but geez, it's very raw and honest. Are you okay? That type of comment. And I'm thinking, Jesus, I better read this book again and have a look. But no, it's been a good experience, and I think it helped me. And you guys talk about what do you do after you leave the military. I think if you got something to go to and something to channel your energy into, it helps a lot, because while I'm doing that, I'm not thinking about, oh, Jesus, the cops did this to me and I should be bitter and twisted. So I think it helps to move on in that regards. So, yeah, but it's interesting, the media. It's an interesting world, and it's I know they get a bad rap on a lot of things, but I see a lot of people make big decisions. And I've actually said in the media, I'm seeing more moral decisions in the media than I did in the police. In the police, it was fairly simple. Like, I was out to catch a killer, so that was my mission. That's what I'm doing. I'm seeing the people that in the media, sometimes they've got to make judgment calls. Do we tell this story or don't we tell this story? And there's a lot of grey area there, and I find that more challenging than being able to switch on and switch off straight away. So.
Oh, that'd be an interesting perspective. I'm glad there's some moral judgment lines, because once again, it's like people outside judging detectives and police officers, or outside judging the military. And I guess I do tarnish the media. I'm like, they'll sell any story, the vultures. But if there's that moral compass of, do we tell this story, do we not? It'd be nice to see which stations. It'd be good to get someone on that. It's interesting.
That's interesting, because I hadn't thought that way, and you're quite right. Like, we get in the police, we get pigeonholed, and if someone does something, we're all that way. And I look at what the cops have done and that they've beat up this person or done that. Everyone gets brandished with that. Same with you guys with the military. What happens with the military? Someone does something and that perception of the media was. Because I knew a lot of journalists when I was in the media, and I saw them as ethical people. And I know they've got a job to do, and sometimes the lines are blurred. But I'm pleasantly surprised, and I like working at the Sunday Telegraph and working on the floor there before COVID hit, and seeing some of the decisions that were being made, and that I was so impressed. And I was working. The person I was reporting to was Claire Harvey, and I loved working with her and learning from her in the decisions, and they were sound decisions that she was making. And then the editor, Mick Carroll, making some big decisions. And people mightn't always agree with it, but there is discussion had. It's not just what can we get on the front page. So they understand the consequences, and there certainly is a power to the media as well. I'm very mindful of that, and that's why. If I put my name to something, I want to be something that I truly believe in. I can't write an article if I don't believe in it. And Claire made the point that I seem to write best when I'm angry. Go figure. Like, She said if she whips me up about something, I could write the article, and if I'm not angry, I can't write the article. But I like to be passionate about what I do. But the media is an interesting world to work in.
We'll see how it plays out in the coming months, I suppose, especially with our the predicament that's going through. But mate.
Yeah.
Look,
I hope on that it comes across balance, because there's always it's such a big issue. So we'll all be watching that for sure.
Well, mate, we're gonna have to get you back on. If you want to, because there's some stories in there we haven't even scratched the surface. But I'm glad you took the time out of your day to jump on, mate. It was an absolute honor talking to you. And make sure you go and check out his podcast and his book, I Catch Killers. Right.
Likewise, guys. Look, thanks very much for having me on. I really appreciate it, and I love the work you guys are doing. I think it's so important. So good stuff.